Okay, so while Jaime's fiddling with the tech, I'll start just telling you a little bit about what this. Oh, sorry, I have to be introduced.
Of course you do.
Of course, I'm sorry, I took your job.
So,
It's very important.
the next person up is Noah Gabriel, and he's going to do a presentation called Serious Play.
Serious play. Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about seriousness in play, and why play is important, and why seriousness can be a serious problem. This is probably like the least in need of this talk room that I've found, but hey, you know, you're here, so we might as well continue. I'm going to start with, how do I navigate? I'm going to start with my story. One of my stories, I have many. But interestingly, it's almost as though we planned this, Ksenia. I don't think we could have possibly planned this better. My talk is a continuation of Ksenia's talk. We've never met. We're going to be best friends. So, when I was a teenager, for a number of different reasons, I identified very early on as a writer. I did write sometimes, but more importantly, and this is why it's a continuation of your talk, I identified as a writer. And I mean, maybe I wouldn't have stuck with it if I hadn't identified so fully as a writer. That's possible. But also this sort of like over-identification with writing as being sort of who I had to be and what had to define me really did also hold me back from a lot of things in life. It meant that I didn't follow other opportunities. It meant that all of the sort of hobbies and other activities that I did filled my life with had to be around that, and I would reject anything that wasn't. And sort of worst of all, this is what pains me the most, is that I would also not really be interested in people who aren't also creatives or intellectuals. And that was kind of the most limiting thing. So I want to talk a little bit about this notion of, and this is a kind of rigid over-identification with a particular role or a particular habits, values, etc. It can even go to values, that Simone de Beauvoir describes as seriousness. So that's why seriousness. So I was going to ask for you to think for a moment about who you are, but never mind. We'll carry on for the sake of time, and also because, yeah. So seriousness is an idea from Simone de Beauvoir, great existentialist philosopher, and one of the most interesting philosophers of the 20th century, certainly. And as an existentialist, Simone de Beauvoir taught that to live is to be free, which means to have to decide for ourselves how to live and what to make of ourselves. And note also that our freedom imposes on us a wonderful burden of responsibility, and this is where seriousness kind of starts to come in. Free, we find ourselves with no sun, no center, no orbit, adrift in the immensity of the universe. We have no guide outside of ourselves. You can always choose a book or a leader, but it's you who choose it ultimately. So we're faced with infinite possibilities and find ourselves with no stable ground on which to base our actions. And that can invoke uncomfortable feelings of anxiety and vertigo, among other things. Got a beautiful quote from Nietzsche that I'm just going to skip. This is really a teaser trailer for other play shops that I do around this. So, you know, if you want the full Nietzsche quotes, you gotta come get the real stuff. So this is what we try to escape, that uncomfortable feeling, that anxiety, that vertigo. This is what we try to escape, according to Simone de Beauvoir, what we escape into seriousness from. To avoid the anguish of this permanent choice, one may attempt to flee, to engulf one's own presence in our being. In the servitude of the serious, the original spontaneity, the original freedom strives to deny itself. It strives in vain. We can never get rid of it. In other words, we may attempt to flee from the anxiety of free choices made without any stable ground to base them on by taking action seriously. So I was talking about sort of this escape from that anxiety and vertigo of choice into an over-identification with one particular role, as though by thinking that is all that we consist of, we could fool ourselves into thinking that we didn't have any choice after all. Okay, so what are the kinds of things that I mean by seriousness? We live seriously when we fully engulf ourselves in our choices and forget that they're choices to begin with. This is the danger. So think about maybe the academic who's obsessed with scholarly rigor at the expense of being interesting or making connections with people. The hipster who won't listen to anything if it's not on vinyl. The recycling zealot, I'm so sorry. The parent who carries on doing everything for their kids beyond the point where they need it. But notice, those things are worthwhile. They're important. It's possible for us to pour our identity into them because they do mean something, because they are important. But we can also forget that they're something that we choose to begin with. So we may over-identify with our roles, our relationships, our habits, our tastes, even our values. Seriousness, then, is our attempt to convince ourselves that the choices that we make are actually necessary, all important, that they're the only choices we could possibly have made, and therefore, in a way, we don't really need to take responsibility for them, because we could never have done otherwise. If we can do that, maybe we can escape freedom and the anxiety of responsibility. I'm going to skip over Heidegger, which is always a good choice. All right. Okay, just one moment, 3 minutes. Okay, fine. We can do that. Just for 1 minute, talk to the person next to you. Looking at the way that we've changed our commitments over time can often help us see the sort of arbitrariness of our commitments. Something that seems so necessary to me right now, today, might seem very necessary, but if you look back in your life, you'll probably find some taste, some musical taste, some habits, something like a gym routine that you've been like totally sworn to in the past, or maybe even values that you've changed your mind over time. And actually, I think we don't really have time because I want to save some time for the play part of it. So just think about that for a moment if you can. Ideally, we would talk about it a bit more. Because I want to bring us on then out of seriousness into absurdity, which will bring us onward to play. First, we need to go through absurdity, and then we can get to play. Absurdity, according to Camus, can liberate us from seriousness. So life is absurd, according to Albert Camus, not because it's meaningless, but because in a universe without any absolute foundations for anything that we do or consider sacred, we can't seem to keep ourselves from inventing all kinds of meaning. And this is the absurd. The absurd is born of this confrontation between the human need for meaning, the true, real meaning that we create, and the unreasonable silence of the world. Okay, so playfulness then is possible because of absurdity, and it is the great antidote to seriousness. And we're going to get on to play in a moment, I swear to God. So, what we do is not securely anchored to a foundation, like bolted on, called the meaning of life. Instead, there's give, there is play, right? Between all of our thoughts and deeds and ways of being with each other. Sometimes, what we hold tightest to is also what stands in the way of what we're aiming for. That's because we forget that there is no reason that the novel that you're striving to write, the community norms you want to enforce, or the exercise habit you're trying to establish need to be there, need to be part of the fabric of reality. We easily come to view our aims as absolutely necessary, and sometimes we kind of have to do that to get there, to work at it. But if they were necessary, they would already be in play, like laws of nature. They would be inescapable. We wouldn't have to do anything. They would already be done. So what you are trying, whenever you're trying to do anything, is to bring into being one of many possibilities. And it could always not have been, no matter how crucial it may feel. There is nothing necessary about anything we commit ourselves to, no matter how important it is to you, your community, or to the world. In fact, that's what makes it important. The fact that you're taking the project on freely and that it could always have not been done. So it's important to remember this, that you're committing to it freely, that you're deciding firmly to commit to something that could always not have been. Otherwise, our works of art, our community projects, political campaigns, and relationships risk turning stale, lifeless, lacking the energy that should come from your free decision to do them instead of all of the infinite other things that you could have done. And there are serious harms that come from this kind of over-identification with your projects, from this seriousness. That's where perfectionism, I was talking to somebody about perfectionism. We were talking about perfectionism earlier tonight. It comes from that. Excessive concern for rules, standards, and procedures come with that. Expectations that our plans should go according to plan. Often intolerance for others' ideas and preferences, and the difficulty that we find working with one another comes from our notion that our over-identification with our own vision of how our work will end up being. And also the anger, disappointment, and delusion that comes from when things don't work out as we planned. So these are the kind of things that if we loosen up a little bit, we can maybe avoid to some extent. Okay. Do we have like 1 minute for...
1 minute.
1 minute, okay.
Yes,
I mean,
sorry, I'm so sorry.
No,
I promise.
Time
is so bad.
Very important. But,
you know.
okay, I want to play a quick game, just so that we play. It's called the sticky beat game. So you all have some tape.
So it would be 2 minutes then.
Make a little loop of here. Let me demonstrate with one of them. Okay, so try to make a little loop of tape, and like this. Tear a piece of tape. You've all got some tape on your tables? Do you all find some tape that I've left on your tables? Yeah. Okay. Make a little loop of the tape so that it sticks to itself. Okay. Now, merely stick it on your nose. And you can see how... Well, that wasn't a great start, but okay. Make sure it's stuck good onto your nose. Okay? Has anybody else got one? Has anybody else got a beat? Okay, you've got a few. Would you like to come up and demonstrate with me?
Oh God.
As the first person there.
Sure.
Make sure to stick it good, because this is a competitive game. Now, when you've got a piece of tape stuck on your nose, looking very, responsible like I do, then find somebody else who's managed to do the same. And you can just kind of, is that too close for comfort? Okay.
No, I'm trying to win.
With consent.
I'm trying to win.
With consent, but you have to take mine to win. So we're trying to take each other's piece of tape.
Yeah.
She wins. Now, ideally, we would continue going until one person had the entire roll of tape. But you can just play it one or two people. So once you found somebody with a sticky beat, you can try to make the stickiest
Come on, guys. Please, a round of applause.
Oh my God! How did...
Come on, please. Come on, guys. Okay. Guys, sorry.
Okay, what's the record for stickiest beat?
Three.
Three is the record.
Guys. Hello.
Yes.
You only got two. Yeah. Three.
Has anybody gotten more than three 3 sticky beaks? No. Okay, 3 is the winner then. The prize is that you have the stickiest beak.
Okay.
And if anybody would like to hear more about my play shops or the coaching method that I've built around this, come and talk to me.
I will share the information with you, all right? Thank you very much. Okay, so now we have the guests here, and then it will be Holly, okay? So 2 wonderful people are going to play. So thank you.